Hello, everyone. My name is Valentin Wu. I'm a PhD student at the Laboratory of Intelligent Systems. I'm doing a PhD under supervision of Professor Dario Floriano. And today I want to talk to you about vision-based accurate flight of our fixed-wing drones. Fixed-wing drones, compared to quadrotors, the advantage that they're usually quite a lot more efficient in flight. And so missions can be carried out that can cover a lot bigger area, or you can even fly much faster with fixed-wing vehicles than with quadrotors. But nowadays, you mostly see them applied in areas where you have open fields and are not close to any obstacles around you. But for them to be being used a bit more in cluttered environments, say in cities, or in disaster response areas where you have to pass through maybe narrow gaps or go close to objects to investigate the area a bit better, accuracy is of high importance. We don't see this nowadays really due to these main factors here, that there is sensor noise on board, because you can only use onboard sensors when you're flying these vehicles. There are delays in the system. This is on one hand due to the actuators, but on the other side, also due to the system dynamics, to the slow response of when you initiate the turn and then actually turn the vehicle. Also, big role play modeling errors when you try to design a controller in simulation or based on a simple model. And also disturbances from wind and gusts, for example, have a much bigger influence on fixed-wing vehicles than on quadrotors. And so we set ourselves the goal to demonstrate that we can fly accurately to target by hitting a balloon, standard size balloon of about 30 centimeters diameter. We want to do this by using onboard sensors. So we're using vision to detect where we want to fly and then fly to this. We chose the balloon as a target because it's very easily quantifiable if we hit the target or not, and it clearly demonstrates how accurate we can actually fly. When we look what's out there of vision-based accurate flight for fixed-wing vehicles, we see a main theme of that accuracy is in the order of about 2 meters. So for example, in this work here, they try to land this fixed-wing vehicle by crashing it into a net. And what they report in their work is that in simulation, they're able to fly with an accuracy of about 2.21 meters. And in the paper, they also say that in reality, they can match this accuracy. In the second example here, they try to land the vehicle on the back of a truck. And this truck area is about 2 square meters. And they say in 12 out of these 15 cases where they tried it, they were able to land on the truck. In this other work here, we see that they tried to land similarly to the first work by crashing into this big red balloon. Here they say they have a 4 diameter meters balloon, which they crash into. So also here we have an accuracy of about 2 meters. Another interesting work we see over here is where they try to land the vehicle by using a fixed-wing vehicle that can actually sweep its wings forward and backward. As you can see here, it has hinges. They first used some classical control design approaches, and then improved on these approaches by actually using learning techniques, which were able to compensate for noises and delays a bit better, is what they have found. What they report here is also that they had about 2.2 meters accuracy as the mean error of their trials, with a standard deviation also of about 2 meters. And so what we can take away is that target flight, vision-based flight for fixed-wing vehicles, is in the order of about 2 meters. And what we've seen in this last work is that learned controllers actually outperformed manually designed controllers in these kinds of cases. And so we went ahead and wanted to use a similar approach, also a learning-based approach, where we try to tackle the challenges of sensor noise, delays, and disturbances by using neural networks. And so neural networks should be able to model these kinds of noises, delays, and try to compensate for it. And how we do this specifically is that we use imitation learning and reinforcement learning. In the imitation learning approach, we try to predict the actions that we want to apply by using the state that we have on board. So this is a noisy state that we have, and we want to predict an action. And we learn predicting this action by actually leveraging an expert. And the special thing about this expert is that this expert has access to more accurate data. And so this gives us essentially an optimal action based on this true state. Now, what we can do is we actually train this neural network here by using the noisy state and use these optimal actions as labels. And through this, we would be able to tackle the challenges of sensor noise and delays that are there. Another approach that we followed was reinforcement learning. Here, we don't rely on an expert. We rely on a reward function, which tells us how good the action was that we chose. So we use this state that we have on board, this noisy state, and apply an action and then see how good was this action. And through interaction with the environment, the actor then learns over time which action to choose in which situation. Here. And so we went ahead and developed the simulation environment based on Gazebo and ROS, and had the whole simulation in the loop in this training environment, where we could train the neural network and then transfer this actor onto the real system and deploy it on there. And just to give some more technical details here is that we actually didn't just use the most recent state as an input to this neural network to predict our actions, but actually a history of it. And like that, we saw that we were able to model, to predict this action more accurately. So having a history of states allows you to cope with noise a bit better. So we had a bit limited success with learning-based controls here. And so we also followed a third strategy, and I will be comparing these through in a few minutes as well. And this more classical approach is what we call an L1 PD controller. So in the longitudinal motion, we have a PD controller. So based on the height altitude difference between the vehicle and the target, and the rate of it, we get a desired pitch that we want to follow, and that allows us to fly towards the target in the longitudinal direction. And in the lateral direction, we use an L1 controller. So this is based on the vector from the vehicle to the target and the velocity vector. Based on these two, we can then calculate a desired roll to go to this. And how this is done is that we assume that fixing vehicles follow circular trajectories. And so when we know L1 and our velocity, we can calculate a centripetal force. And when we use this force, we can then calculate what angle the vehicle has to fly at to reach the point in the end. And so we went about this by first tackling the problem without vision. So we used RTK GPS instead to have ground truth data almost. And once we verify that, we then move towards removing the reliance on RTK GPS and we'll use vision only. And I want to show here an experiment that we've flown. So what we've done is that we came from over here. So you see the top view here, and then switched to this controller, which then flew towards the target that you can see here. And you also have side view from these experiments. So these are 17 trials of the L1 PD, for example. And what we saw is that with the reinforcement learning, let me quickly explain something more. So what we have here, this blue dotted line is what I call the crossplane. So when we fly from the starting point towards the end point, we have a plane that's perpendicular to it. And to see where we actually cross with respect to the target is what you can see in this plot here. So the vertical error and the horizontal error with respect to the target. And what we were able to achieve with reinforcement learning is that we have errors of about 2 meters. The actions also look a bit jittery. And when we compare this to imitation learning, the performance is rather similar out of these 5 runs where we did on the real platform, is that the motions are much more smooth and repeatable from what we've seen. But when we then compare this to the L1PD controller, where we did here actually 17 runs, so quite a lot of them, is that we're able to do this very, very accurately and repeatedly. And also the motions look quite reliable as well. And so now I want to zoom in a bit here on this area to give you a better idea of how repeatable these results were. So to say again, we use here data that you see plotted is with respect to RTK GPS. And now I want to know, how does this actually look like in the real world experiment? So what you can see, we try to hit this balloon and come flying here towards and try to hit it, which you were actually able to do. And so we did this 17 times for the L1PD, and I actually overlaid these here on at which point we crossed this plane and put a cross on where we crossed with respect to this balloon. And so you can see even on the balloon, with respect to the balloon, not only to the RTK GPS, we were able to fly this very, very reliably. And the mean distance here over 17 trials was about 20 centimeters. And so the next step was then to remove the dependence of RTK GPS and use vision only. And the first idea that we had here was that we want to detect a tag, since this already works rather well, the tags detections. This gives us the estimate of where the tag is with respect to the plane in the body frame. And so based on our estimate of where we are and what the orientation currently is of the robot, we can get a GPS location of where this balloon is. And then we just use this GPS coordinate to fly towards it. We noticed then that especially the yaw error estimates leads to a big error. So what we've seen, what you can see here is a top view of me walking with the robot towards the target that is here. And I actually had the robot oriented towards the target at all times. And since there is this yaw error, we actually detect the targets shifted to the left because of this rotation error. And so we have to get rid of this yaw dependence to be able to fly there repeatedly. And so what we've been working on lately is that we use vision only. So since we have the L1PD controller that uses basically these 2 vectors, the L1 vector, so the distance vector, and the velocity vector at which we go, we can even measure these 2 directly in the body frame, which allows us to not use the yaw at all. And so what we use to measure the attack, this L1 distance, is that we use a tag detector. And to estimate the vision, the velocity vector, we actually use optical flow. And so we equipped the vehicle with these 2 sensors as well. And I went ahead now and tested in real flight how accurately are we able to test these. What you've already seen in the previous plot is the tag detections, and now we're focusing a bit more on the optical flow-based velocity estimation. What I have plotted here is the velocity of the RTK GPS, so raw measurements that we get from the RTK GPS in dark blue of the velocity overlaid with the optic flow velocity estimates. And it seems rather promising, but we were not yet able to test this whole system when it was working properly to fly towards the target. but we're quite confident that we'll be able to beat this 2 meters diameter airs and fly more accurately than it's been done so far. And with that, I would like to conclude my presentation. And thank you for your attention, and I'll open the floor for questions, or